Hi, my name is Helly, and I am a real-life living vampire. And you might be thinking, what is a real vampire? Vampires don't exist. And while characters like Lestat and things unfortunately do not exist, vampirism as a spiritual practice does exist, and I think it's important that we talk about it. I have made videos like this on my channel before, but I've completely just been dropping the ball on YouTube, so I thought it would be really good to sort of reintroduce myself, reintroduce what this channel's about, and we can talk about what it is to be a real-life living vampire. So I'm a real vampire, which means I take energy with consent. I usually go for the ambient energy, which is the energy that's around someone but not on them. Like the good vibes you get at a concert or a festival. I love those things. We have a festival coming up here in Providence, Rhode Island, and I'm super hype about it. All the ambient energy, all the good vibes. Where you do need consent though is taking energy from someone. You don't just want to go blah, blah, blah and take someone's energy. Also, we don't say blah, blah, blah. So, ask consent. It's important. You don't want to take someone's energy for a multitude of reasons. Like, you don't know what kind of energy you're dealing with. You could get some energy you don't want. And you're taking from them. You wouldn't steal from their house, so why are you stealing from their spirit? You know what I'm saying? So get consent. So when I ask my friends, or they come up to me and say, hey, can we do like an energy work type of thing? If they're cool with it, I'll sit them down, put my hands on their chest or their shoulders. We'll do some like dark ambience, some candles to make them feel relaxed and me feel in tune to my power. And it is a very meditative experience that takes place, akin to Reiki, I guess. But then I will, we'll do a lot of breath work and I'll just kind of suck their energy. And what happens for me is I feel recharged. I no longer feel grumpy or irritable or bleh, and they no longer feel anxious or over-energized. So it's a win-win in that regard. Otherwise, I have never been able to create my own energy like people who aren't vampires, people who don't identify as vampires. So it is important for me to have those deep feedings or that ambient energy. Now let's get to some things that I don't do as a vampire that I hope you don't do, but I just want to clear the slate now. Things that I don't do as a vampire. I don't take energy from people underage. I don't take energy from senior citizens. I don't take energy from animals, and I do not take energy from plants. I don't have to explain why I don't do this. I shouldn't have to explain. If you really want an explanation, ask in the comments, but I really shouldn't have to explain. Number 2, I don't take energy from like a live feed. So I live stream a lot on social media, and people will say, can we do a live feeding? Can we do a live feeding? And I always answer no, because there may be people in the chat who cannot consent. Maybe they're falling asleep to my live with my ASMR stuff. Maybe they're doing something in the background and can't get to the phone. Maybe I'm on mute because they want to support my live, but they can't turn up the volume. It would be kind of messed up of me to just be like, so I don't do those things. If you do them, I am not your moral compass. I can't say anything because I'm not you. I'm just saying I wouldn't do it. But it is your path, and ultimately you have to decide what your morals are. I cannot decide that for you. Another thing I can't decide for you is if you're a vampire or not. I can't tell you. Now, as a vampire, and many other vampires have said this openly and publicly, we can tell. We can tell if you're a vampire. It's something referred to as the beacon. We kind of see each other. We see each other, whether we realize it or not. But it's not my job to tell you if you're a vampire. That needs to be something you discover on your own for a multitude of reasons. No two real-life vampires are alike. I practice spellcraft, whereas there are vampires who may be Christians. There may be vampires who don't practice any kind of spirituality outside of energy work at all. It all depends on you and what you want to do. I do practice spellcraft, and I will hex. I am not above hexing. I don't feel like hexing is bad. Again, your moral compass is your moral compass. And while I don't think it's bad, Someone else may not want to do it, and that's okay. It's okay to not want to do something. It is not okay to be like, oh, you're a bad person because you hex. So what is the difference between a real vampire and a fictional vampire? Fictional vampires like Lestat, I love Anne Rice. Fictional vampires like Lestat, their bodies will not age, and their bodies will live forever. Real life vampires, my body will start to age, and that is a beautiful thing, and I want to document that process. It is my soul that is the vampire and will reincarnate when this body decides it's ready to take a dirt nap. With fictional vampires, they may burst into flames when they touch the sun. With real life living vampires, Bram Stoker was kind of closer to the truth of it. So for me and many other publicly and out vampires have said that the sun is not our best friend. I could go out there right now, it's so bright. And I would feel so drained and so depleted that I would have to feed maybe even twice, deep feed, I'm talking deep, to get back to just normal and feeling good. So don't really love the sun. I try to use as much sun protection as possible. You should do the same. No matter who you are, no matter if you're a human, no matter if you're a vampire, no matter if you're a fairy, you should use sun protection. Fictional vampires may sleep in a coffin. I sleep in a queen-size bed, and it's cozy. I like being cozy. Fictional vampires wear fangs because that's part of their teeth. Me, as a real-life vampire, I don't have to wear fangs. I wear fangs because they make me feel beautiful, they make me feel powerful, and I also live stream as a fictional vampire because I'm a freaking nerd.
I am chaos incarnate and I'm a freaking nerd.
Fictional vampires cannot handle crucifixes. Real life vampires can, and I have in fact went into churches recently and not burst into flames or been so weak I couldn't hang for the day. No, I'm quite fond of looking at crucifixes actually. Here's a fun one. I've never talked about this. What do some real life vampires do that I, as a real life vampire, don't do? Some real life vampires are opposed to openly talking about vampirism, the energy work, any other spiritual or magical spell practices that they may participate in. They're not comfortable with being out in the open. Now, for me, I am not in a halo, a coven, whatever you want to call it. I am a Ronin, which means I'm a vampire on my own. I will talk about myself. I will talk about my spiritual practices. I will talk about what I will and will not do. I will talk about all the nitty gritty. I will not out people who have not given me permission to out them, right? That would be uncool. But there are vampires who don't want to be out in the public, whereas I love sharing things that aren't mainstream to the mainstream. So yeah, real vampire stuff. I think it should be talked about more, because if we're going to talk about witchcraft, spellcraft, all kinds of spirituality, why would we leave vampirism in the dust? All that does is harbor the kind of comments I see online of vampires aren't real, this is delusional, get help, get a job, all the blah blah blah. So we should talk about vampirism, in my opinion. Another thing that real vampires might do that I don't necessarily do is form a coven, is form a halo. I feel like my practices are so eclectic that they wouldn't really fit the mold of like the goals of a coven or a halo. So right now I just kind of stick to myself. If I find people that share similar practices to me, I would not be opposed to doing it. But I kind of do stuff on my own, and that's okay. And I think that it's maybe even best to start out on your own, because if you go out seeking a mentor or a group, you're going to get pulled in so many different directions that it's going to be more difficult to find out who you are as a practitioner, and finding your individual path as a vampire is super important. Another thing that some vampires don't do that I do, some vampires have spoken about how they are more into the dark feminine or dark masculine, or just like a darker way of living, which I appreciate. I do embrace that darkness. When you are a vampire, there is a darkness that needs to be embraced there. But I also have a really goofy and whimsical side to me, And I embrace that too. I am not ashamed of it. I don't hide from it. It doesn't make me any less of a vampire because I like to wiggle and giggle around and be goofy. It's just who I am. And I think that balance should be embraced. Another thing that real life vampires may not do that I love doing is real life vampires don't need to wear fangs. They don't need the makeup, the wigs, anything. You can be and dress any way you like and be a vampire. You know, there's not a specific look to being a vampire. I wear this because I like it and I'm nerdy and it makes me happy. I take all of this off and I am still a real life vampire. Another question I get a lot is what kind of jobs do real life vampires have? Again, you can be anything and anyone and be a vampire. So teachers, janitors, lawyers, politicians, doctors, your tax guy, a veterinarian. You can be like anything and be a vampire, just like witches have any job. It's a spirituality. I guess have the stereotypical job. I am a live streamer. I am an entertainer. So that's kind of different, but it doesn't take away from the fact that I'm still a vampire. So yeah, being a real life vampire for me is energy work. There are vampires, sanguines, who do practice blood work, although very safely and very carefully. And if you want me to make a video about what it means to be sanguine, I can make that video. I am what is known as a psychic vampire or energy vampire, although it is not the same as a human Karen going in to hang out with their friends and suck the life out of the party. That's not it. It is a spiritual practice, and one I'm glad I embraced. Being a real life vampire means I wasn't created by some sire. I always have been a vampire. I have always been taking energy. I just didn't really fully embrace that until 2022. So while I live in an apartment in Providence, Rhode Island, and not a castle, and while I don't burst into flames in the sun, but the sun kind of makes me bleh, while I take energy rather than blood, I am still a real vampire, and I am proud of it. If you have any questions in the comments, please leave them. I love talking with you. I love answering your questions, and it may give me even more ideas for videos. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'm gonna be doing a lot more videos on this channel talking about spirituality, magic, whimsiness, all that fun stuff. So until next time, may your dreams be as magical and wonderful as you are, and may your adventures tomorrow be filled with thrill and peace and wonder and joy. Goodbye!